Okay, again, Assalamu.alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday morning, 11 o'clock a.m. Zoom class with I.S.L.A.M Inc., the Islamic Society of Leading American Muslims. We are talking about the human being's happiness and how it lies in the experiential knowledge of Allah by knowing and implementing what you learn and actually experiencing it. So I welcome you to this class. I welcome you, as always, to reconnect to the family. Our vision is to do da'wah. Our vision is to educate and empower Muslims on their hijrah as they travel as Sayyis, as travelers to the divine. So I want to thank those of you who give to this ministry so that we can do that. Have the time to go to colleges, churches, to work with leadership teams on the Interfaith Community Resource Network. I just want to thank all of you that support this organization. We are working on a production of the Faith Club for September the 20th. You want to put that in your calendar at 10 o'clock at the United Methodist Church in Claremont. This is something we've been doing for years, and we're still trying to do it as a way to build bridges of peace and understanding. I have been scheduled for the Unitarian Universalist Church in New Smyrna Beach on September the 24th, again, and at the Unitarian Universalist in Ormond Beach on October the 29th. And on December the 24th, I will be giving a lecture on Miriam. May Allah be pleased with her in I.S.L.A.M at the Unitarian Universalist Church in New Smyrna Beach. That'll be on Christmas Eve, and it would be great to have as many of you as possible come and join us for that event. So if you want to put it in your diary ahead of time, a lot of Muslims on Christmas Eve, so to speak, don't have anything to do and they're sitting at home. It might be interested to join some very free thinkers in a lecture that I'll give on Miriam and Islam. We will post about our next potluck. We had talked about, I believe, the 19th, but because of Camila's expecting a child, we want to be there for her. And Nathaniel is going to be her doula, to be Elijah's sidekick for that occasion, if Allah wills. I want to move on to prayers, joys, and concerns. I want to pray for all the new mothers in the group, the pregnant mothers in the group and their spouses. I want to once again thank Allah for the joy that Mika's brother and wife got their visas. It's so lovely to have them here. Continue to pray for Rosie's son Michael, who has testicular cancer. Also, James and Julie, a number of members of our family, and I ask us all to pray for Maysoon as well, are having career changes and challenges. And anytime there's a change, there's challenge. So please, let's pray for them. Rizwana's mother had knee replacement surgery Friday and is in New Jersey. Rizwana is providing care for her. So what I'd like to do is just spend about 5 minutes reviewing where we were, because we talked about the virtues of Muharram. In the middle, we did a lecture on that, and then we had the Sunday off because of the speech I was giving. So let's just review for about 5 minutes. As we are embarking on the journey of spiritual enlightenment, we continue to discover the marvels within. On July the 16th, we examined the virtues of this great sacred month of Muharram, the month of Allah. And when it is a month named after something or someone, we honor that person or that thing. In preparation for our New Year's preparation, we all were encouraged to make goals, measurable goals, in the new year that we're in Islam. We also completed the concept of what veils us from the way. In other words, our sensory perceptions veil us from divine knowledge. And we will begin to, we will actually recap on that and add to that, inshallah, today. So just to remind you, we are in a sacred month. And I would hope that every single day when you wake up, you would say, I'm in a sacred month, a month that I want to do better, a month that I want to honor Allah. So sacred months really then are a time dedicated to elevating our ranks. The month of Muharram, the month of Allah, should be a time of intense dedication to Allah, renewal, reflection, and spiritual growth. So today is actually the 12th of Muharram. So we're 12 days into the new year. We find ourselves with 18 days remaining to immerse ourselves in devotion, honoring Allah with sweet surrender and submission, reaping the bountiful blessings of Allah's divine grace. So as we embark on this journey, let us ponder upon our daily mindfulness of this blessed month, our progress in fulfilling our New Year's resolutions, and the depths of our dedication to honoring Allah in this month, His month. Has it been ordinary or extraordinary? So perhaps 8 of the months of the year we could say, we could glide on ordinary, but the 4 sacred months should be extraordinary. It is by going beyond the veil that we transcend the material world and the confusion. In this quest for spiritual fulfillment, we must acknowledge the veils that shroud our path. The knowledge derives solely from our senses, the 5 senses that is, and the desires that stem from them can create a barrier to understanding the true essence of heart, fitra, and intelligence, and experiencing the divine wisdom found in the Holy Quran and Sunnah. And this is why it is very, very dangerous to not have clarity about the Quran and the Sunnah. Divine knowledge surpasses worldly knowledge. It is superior. And when we discipline ourselves to follow it, rather than succumbing to our ego-driven impulses, whims, compulsion, that is when we attain spiritual perfection and find a straight, safe, and secure path. For those who are directionally impaired, challenged, many report being very happy when they just get on one road and know that's all I've got to stay on. I don't have to make a right. I don't have to hang left. I don't have to swing. I don't have to do anything. This is the way to that. Knowledge is power. And when we don't have the knowledge of the Quran and Sunnah experientially, doubt and confusion also becomes a veil for us. And we can't see clearly because we are listening to our confusion, which is often the whispers of the shaitan, or ignorance. And when I say ignorance, I do not mean that disrespectfully. I mean simply not knowing the answer according to Quran and Sunnah. And this is why it is essential to our souls that we experientially know how misguided we are when we follow our 5 senses rather than our fitra, our God infusion, the Quran and the Sunnah. The ultimate in spirituality is to do what Allah wants, not what we want. If we are not knowledgeable about this, as free thinkers, the polluted waters of our 5 senses will contaminate our hearts and souls. That is why it is so important to think with fitra knowledge and have it firmly planted in our hearts and souls, that our focus is on our heart and soul and the debt that we owe to Allah and how we're going to pay that on a moment to moment, hour to hour, and day to day, and month by month, and year by year basis. See, free thinkers will never have Gnosis, experiential knowledge, because one piece of knowledge will contradict the other. It's interesting when we use the term devil's advocate, meaning we're challenging someone with another point of view. free thinkers will not have gnosis. They will not have an experiential knowledge of what I'm speaking to today. It's interesting because in the Bible, there is a verse, whether it's authentic or not, Allah knows best, but it says the natural man receiveth not the things of the spirit, for they are foolishness to him. So raw knowledge, even from the Quran and the Sunnah, just raw knowledge that is not experienced spiritually can lead to religiosity. This is a problem when we don't actually have an experience of the knowledge. And this is where people outfit themselves religiously with things hanging from their rearview mirrors, bumper stickers, kufis, and jalabiyas, all this outward appearance of Islam, but in their heart, they are confused. And these folks often will consistently reject divine knowledge and say, I know it, but that means I've heard it. I know that's what we're supposed to accept, but I'm not going to accept it and I'm not going to implement it. So that is a consistent rejection of divine knowledge, and that is the term of arrogance in Islam. And when you are there, you are not in sweet surrender to Allah in your heart. These people are veiled from the path of true taqwa, seeing Allah in everything. These people slander those who have gnosis and arrogantly discount knowledge that they have never experienced just because they don't understand it, because they're five senses and they haven't studied it. Then they just discount the knowledge of the teacher. And then, of course, that creates a state of confusion, agitation, frustration, uncertainty, and insecurity. They haven't acquired and implemented the haqq, the truth. So they are confused and lost. They are not on the path. When you're confused and lost, you're not sure you're on the path. You probably aren't on the path if you're driving in a car, typically. Speech that is not from the haqq, the kalam of Allah, the speech of Allah, the truth, the only reality, the known truth, is a lie and becomes unlawful. They speak as representatives of their ego, not as the Khalifa of Allah with God's infusion. They look good on the outside, but are counterfeits, false coins. This demonstrates, my beloved brothers and sisters, the power of experiential gnosis. Elevated believers are scarce. There are few of them, and it is rare to find one who has achieved that state of rest and tranquility through the knowledge of Allah and implementation of the divine revelation that they have learned and implemented and experienced. They have done tadabbur on it. They have pondered and reflected, and they have gotten resolve out of that. They have gotten realization and materialization on a personal level. So we're going to move into new material today and into the new class, inshallah. And alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. Wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. May yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. All the praise is due to Allah Azza wa Jal. We seek Allah's help and forgiveness. We seek refuge with Allah from the evil in our souls and bad deeds. Whom Allah guides will never be led astray, and whoever Allah leads astray, no one can guide. I bear witness that there is no God, there is no deity but Allah, the one having no partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is Allah's final slave and messenger. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha haqqa tuqatih wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. O you who have believed, fear Allah as Allah alone should be feared, and do not die except as Muslims in submission to Allah. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَنِسَاءً وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلَيْكُمْ رَقِيبًا. O people, be dutiful to your Lord, who created you from one soul and created from it its mate, and dispersed from both many men and women. And fear Allah, through whom you demand mutual rights and revere the wounds that bore you. Indeed, Allah is ever over you, Ar-Raqib, an observer. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. O you who have believed, fear Allah and speak words of appropriate justice. Allah will then amend for you your deeds and forgive you your sins. And whoever obeys Allah and Allah's messenger has certainly attained the greatest attainment. So here we see, my beloved brothers and sisters, that the human being's happiness actually lies in an experiential knowledge of God Most High. And most of the predominant core of this class, I want to remind myself and you, comes from Al-Ghazali, Alchemy of Happiness, Kamiya al-Sa'idat. And so, alhamdulillah, may Allah open our hearts, our spiritual eyes, our spiritual ears to this level of knowledge that can propel us to elevate our ranks as seekers of the divine in pursuit of the alchemy of happiness. And so Imam Ghazali begins, and he says, surely you will say, what demonstrates that human spiritual happiness lies in the Gnosis, experiential knowledge, marifat of God Most High. So he asked this question. So the question we have to ask is, well, what exactly is marifat? We know what Gnosis is, experiential knowledge. Well, marifat is the experiential knowledge and apprehension of the divine unity of Allah Most High in such a way that awareness of the self or ego is lost in the awareness of Allah. So I love Allah more than I love myself. I love that I obey Allah more than I obey my whelms, my nafs, my compulsions, my own lower earthly desires. And when we get there, it is no longer about you. It is no longer about me. It is about Allah and our debt to Allah. Imam Ghazali continues, and he says, know that it is demonstrated by that which you already know, that the happiness of everything is in that in which one's pleasure and ease lies. And so think about that. For many people, their happiness lies in their pleasures being satisfied, not in the pleasure of Allah being satisfied. The pleasure of everything lies in that one's nature requires it. So there is a part of our spiritual nature that requires that we have the pleasure of Allah, inshallah. And there's a part of our nafs that also wants pleasure. So that's that jihad going on. The requirement of one's nature for anything is that for which one's nature was created. As the pleasure of carnal appetites lies in satisfying its craving, the pleasure of anger is in taking revenge on an enemy. The pleasure of the eye is in looking at beautiful forms, and the pleasure of the ears and listening to delightful songs and tunes. In the same way, the pleasure of the heart lies in the exceptional quality for which it was created, the gnosis or knowledge of the true nature of matters, according to Allah and His Messenger. And this is the unique quality of the human spirit, the fitra, the God infusion. As for carnal appetites, anger and sensory perception through the five senses, these are for animals. And that is the animal part of us that is being serviced whenever we focus on our desires. Because of this, it is in the nature of a person to investigate what they do not know to know it. To know yourself is to know Allah. And this is why it is so dangerous to live in denial. Imam Ghazali's words resonate with profound wisdom, illuminating the path to true happiness and fulfillment. Within these lines, we discover the essence of our existence, the pursuit of pleasure and ease, intertwined with the call of our inner nature, that fitra. Just as animals find pleasure in satisfying their primal instincts, our hearts yearn for a higher purpose, a higher station, a higher ground, a closer relationship to Allah, a profound connection that transcends the material realm. As humans, we possess a unique gift, the capacity for Gnosis, the knowledge of the true nature of things, according to Allah and His Messenger. This divine knowledge beyond the boundaries of our physical senses beckons us to explore the depths of our being, to connect ourselves knowing that we came from the soul world, from Surah Al-Araf, Surah 7 in the Holy Quran, and that we are going back there. The divine knowledge beyond the boundaries of our physical senses beckons us to explore the depths of our being, to seek understanding beyond the superficial. The human spirit is destined for greatness. Allah created us in nobility. Allah said that we were the best of molds created. So the human spirit, it is perfect. And when Allah breathed it into us, it is perfect. And Allah is encouraging us to go back to that state of perfection. So the human spirit is destined for greatness. It's destined for paradise. And it is in the pursuit of this exceptional quality that we find our ultimate purpose, our divine purpose. Yet in our pursuit of transient pleasures and worldly pursuits, we often neglect the yearning of our hearts for spiritual growth. And I would encourage myself and you to stop for one moment and ask which side of the scale is heavier for me, the yearning for worldly things or the yearning to be close to Allah. We get entangled in the allure of material desires, the temptation of anger, and the distractions of our senses, forgetting that we are destined for more. We are destined to purify ourselves, take ourselves back to that pure state, and prepare ourselves to meet our Lord and to have paid our debts to Allah. Our true nature calls us to investigate, to seek knowledge beyond what we already know, to dive into the ocean of spiritual enlightenment. Let us not forget that the pleasures of this world are fleeting, like ripples of water, while the pleasure of the heart's Gnosis is timeless, boundless ecstasy, endless bliss. It is a joy that resonates with the very essence of our existence, a connection to the divine source that nourishes our soul, the God infusion. As we strive to understand the true nature of our being, let us nurture our hearts with the knowledge of Allah's divine wisdom, the light that guides us through the darkness of ignorance and confusion. In this pursuit of Gnosis, we transcend the boundaries of our physical limitations and embrace the true essence of humanity, the journey of self-discovery, spiritual growth, and enlightenment. We are not mere animals bound to our instincts, but we are spiritual beings destined to soar beyond the horizon of the ordinary. We want to live above the world and live in the heavens, live with the speech of Allah, live in an elevated state. Let us remember that the knowledge of the heart is not an intellectual pursuit, but an experiential revelation, an awakening of the soul to the beauty and purpose that lies within it. As we immerse ourselves in the ocean of divine wisdom, we find the answers to our deepest questions, the solace that we need in times of tribulation, and the guidance to navigate through life's challenges. Embrace the yearning of your heart for Gnosis, for it is the key to unlocking the treasures of spiritual enlightenment. Often I get people coming up to me in lectures and saying, "Oh, brother, I just yearn for what you're talking about. I want so much to have it." Then you've got to do the basics. You've got to pray 5 times a day. You've got to fast. You've got to pay your zakat. You have to obey what you know in order to reach this state. Embrace the uniqueness of your human spirit, designed for greatness, and let the pursuit of Gnosis become the beacon that guides you in every single step you make. In this pursuit of spiritual knowledge, we become seekers of truth, scholars of the heart. To know yourself is to know Allah. And know my heart. I know the dirt that's in there, and I know the good stuff that's in there. In this pursuit of spiritual knowledge, we become seekers of truth, haq, seekers of what Allah said in His messenger, scholars of our own hearts, and lovers of divine wisdom. Let us cherish this exceptional quality that sets us apart and elevates our hearts to the realm of spiritual perfection. This is how we go from Muslim to mu'min. This is how we go to ascend spiritual perfection. As we explore the depths of Gnosis, we find ourselves aligned with the very purpose of our creation, to know, to love, and to be in awe of the magnificence of our Creator. So let the pursuit of Gnosis be the compass that leads you through the trials of life, the guide that fills your heart with purpose, and the source of unwavering joy that transcends the ephemeral pleasures of this world. Embrace the knowledge of your heart and witness the transformation of your existence into a profound, inspirational journey of spiritual awakening. So many people tell me I am a cultural Muslim. That means I call myself a Muslim, but I'm not connected to the fitra. My drip, my bag, it's not, the phlebotomist has not put it in. I'm the phlebotomist, and I have not put that drip, that connection to God inside me. And therefore I'm floundering around and I'm looking to my own understanding instead of the understanding in the way of Allah. A great example of this is looking at how human beings delight in everything that they know and how proud they are of what they know, how they will argue with you that they are right and you are wrong, and that their opinions are more important than a relationship. Another way that one delights in everything that one knows and is proud of it, even though it is an example, some trifling thing such as a game, a chess game, for example. And I'm using chess because the scholars have addressed it. And I want you to see how the scholars think, how people that have reached these levels think and process things. It is said to a person who knows chess, do not teach it to anyone. They will find it difficult to restrain themselves, for they delight in their knowledge of the strange game, and they want to display their accomplishments to others. They even want to show it off. So often I get asked the question, is chess allowed in Islam? Because many people just put it out there, haram, haram. You know the haram police, how that goes. Anything, when chess or electronics distract us from what we are obliged to do, both inwardly and outwardly, it is haram according to the consensus of the scholars, such as when it distracts us from an obligatory duty such as prayer, or anything that is necessary in the interest of oneself or one's family, or enjoining what is good, forbidding what is evil, or upholding ties of kinship, or honoring one's parents, or any obligations connected to positions of authority or leadership. But if chess does not distract us from our obligation or involve anything that is haram, then there is a difference of scholarly opinion concerning the ruling. You may say, oh, now the lecture got boring all of a sudden. This is like not nearly as inspirational. but it's a powerful example for us to stop and look how the companions thought. What is the chess game in our life? What is that game that we sit in front of that we can't do without? And we don't pray and we don't remember a lot. We can spend 5 hours playing games on the Xbox or whatever it's called, but we can't even focus for 10 minutes to pray a prayer. Regarding the views of the companions, it was narrated that Ali ibn Abi Talib, may Allah be pleased with him, passed by some people who were playing chess. He said, listen to the depth, the pondering, and the reflection. What are these images to which you are devoted? He walks by and he sees these people so concentrating on these little things that are a king, that are a knight, that are a pawn. And he says, what are these images that you are worshiping, that you're devoted to? Imam Ahmed said the soundest comment on chess was that which was said by Ali, may Allah be pleased with him. Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, was asked about chess, and he said, it is worse than dice. Dice refers to what is used nowadays for playing backgammon, which is the game played on special tables, often found in casinos and on certain cruises that have casinos in them. It was narrated in the hadith that it is haram. Abu Dawud narrated from Abu Musa al-Ashari that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, whoever plays dice has disobeyed Allah and his messenger. And this was the Sahih, classified as Sahih by Al-Albani and Abi Dawud. Muslim narrated the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever plays dice is like one who has dipped his hand in the flesh and blood of a pig. So look at the depth of what I'm saying. Some people think that my teachings are very extreme. But if you think I'm extreme in my teaching, listen to these scholars. The phrase dipped his hand in the flesh of the blood of a pig refers to eating it. And this simile is used to show that it is haram because it is haram to eat that. So often spiritually, when we talk about eating something, we don't mean with the mouth. We mean partaking in something of the world because it eats up our blessings. It eats up our hasanat. It eats up our rewards with Allah Azza wa Jal. Abu Dawud narrated from Abu Musa al-Ashari that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever plays dice has disobeyed Allah and his messenger. This was also classified as Sahih by Al-Albani in Sahih Abu Dawud. This reiterates that the pleasures of the heart lies in the Gnosis, experiential knowledge of matter. You know that however much the knowledge of something is greater and nobler, the pleasure is greater. For that person who delights in knowing the secrets of a minister will be more delighted to know the secrets of a king and his thoughts about the management of the kingdom. That person who has learned how the chessman must be placed and has done so has derived a greater pleasure than the person who knows how it must be played. They just know the rules. They just know the letter of the law for chess, but they've never implemented it. How many of us can understand this correlation when it comes to our relationship to Allah's word, to the kalam of Allah, to Allah's speech, the Quran? Just as experiential learning in things of the world brings us excitable pleasure, excitable states, our fitra calls us to experiential learning about the things of the soul and the spirit, the self-reproaching soul. When we go there, our spirits rejoice in the things of Allah. We find peace, we find refreshment. In the very same way, however much the thing learned is nobler, righteous, good, honorable, and virtuous, its knowledge is nobler, and the pleasure of that knowledge is much greater. There is no being nobler than that in whom lies the nobility of all existing things. He alone is the sovereign and king of both worlds, the Lord of all the worlds, and all the wonders of the universe are the signs of his handiwork. Consequently, there can be no knowledge nobler and more pleasurable than this. No spectacle can be more pleasurable and bring more happiness than the spectacle of the divine presence, and that is according to demand of the Spirit's nature. This is because the demand of the nature of anything is its natural disposition for the sake of which it was created, and we know what we were created for was nothing except to serve Allah. If a spirit be diseased, thereby nullifying the demand for this knowledge, it is like a diseased body in which the demand for food is nullified, so that it prefers clay over bread. If the body is not treated to restore its natural appetite to its place, and the perverse appetite does not depart from one, they will be wretched in this world and they will perish. So we have to work on increasing our spiritual appetite. Take a risk and pick up the Quran and read it and ponder and reflect. And if you don't know what it means, ask questions. Send an email to an imam that you trust and ask him for the dalil. Help me understand this. How is this applicable to my life right here and right now? That person's whose appetite for other things is stronger in their spirit than the appetite for the Gnosis, the marifat of the divine presence, and their spirit will be wretched in the next world and ruined if they are not cured. We talk about diseases of the heart, and this is one of the biggest ones. How can we ever have a healthy heart if we don't give it exercise, if we don't purify it and give it the right word, the medicine of Quran and Sunnah? All the sensual appetites and pleasures attached to the human body necessarily lapse at death, and the sorrow that was carried by the body there becomes nullified. It's not important anymore. But the pleasures of the Gnosis, the marifat attached to the spirit, is doubled at death. For the spirit is not destroyed at death. Rather, it becomes more luminous, and its pleasure is multiplied because the troubling of the carnal appetite has departed from it. So we ask ourselves the question of what is Gnosis? There is a root from which all knowledge has emerged. Humanity has many names for it. We call it Gnosis from the Greek, knowledge. The higher meaning of Gnosis is knowledge from experience, especially experiencing a divinity or what of that which is beyond the delusional five senses. The word Gnosis does not refer to knowledge that we are told or believe in. Gnosis is conscious, experiential knowledge, not merely intellectual or conceptual knowledge, belief, or theory. The term is synonymous with the Hebrew da'at, the Arabic marifa, the Tibetan rikpa, and the Sanskrit jnana. The Greek word gnosis implies a type of knowledge that is derived from experience and encompasses the whole of a person. That is, it is genuine knowledge of the truth. Reality, truth, does not fit neatly into a concept, dogma, or theory. Thus, genuine gnosis must also be something that one must experience. Personal experience is not transmittable in conceptual terms. A concept is merely an idea, and experience is far more than an idea. And my favorite example of this, if I'm speaking to someone and they know nothing about water and they've never seen water and water doesn't exist in their world, I'm trying to explain it to them, they do not know it. But if I throw it in their face, oof, they will feel it. They will have an experience with water. In other words, real gnosis is an experience that defies conceptualization, belief, and any attempt to convey it. To understand it, one must experience it. This is why real spirituality is based on one's own effort to experience the truth. And the method to reach that experience is primarily practical. Nonetheless, to understand what we experience, we must study the experiences of others, particularly our great companions and our messengers. For this, we prefer to rely on those who have proven the qualities we wish to embody ourselves: profound love for all beings, brilliant intelligence, not IQ, but AQQ, the intelligence of the heart, that divine kind of intelligence and radiant joy. Humans are generally ignorant of the divine spark resident within them. This ignorance is fostered in human nature by the influence of the shayateen and the thoughts they whisper to us. And be reminded that the shayateen have been given permission till our last breath to stand in front of us, behind us, to our right and to our left, and whisper to us. Anything that causes us to remain attached to earthly things serves to keep us in enslavement to these lower cosmic rulers. Gnosis is liberation of our essential nature and perhaps the pinnacle of the rich spiritual path. I only created jinn and mankind that they may serve me, and this is found in Surah 51, verse 56, that they might know me experientially. But the greater part of humanity neglects this duty, except those whom God has chosen and whose hearts he hath vivified, vitalized. All of us he has breathed life into them. But have we vivified? Have we vitalized? And are we breathing out what Allah breathed into us? So we look, and this takes us into the marvels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's handiworks within the human body. How do we become the perfect knower of the self? How do we know the marvels of the heart if we only refer to our brain, which is about 18 inches away? If the brain rules the body, the focus will be on satisfying the senses of the human being. If the heart, filled with fitra, God infusion, Quran and Sunnah, rules the body, the focus will be on satisfying Allah and purifying the eternal soul. These are two pillars. Attributes of the heart are one of the body, and its extremities are the other pillar. So you could say the heart is like the king, and each member that Allah has given us. And the hadith says on every single bone, and I believe there are over 200 bones in our body, every single day there should be a good deed. Imagine if we did 200 deeds a day, what we would learn from doing 200 good deeds. How many do we actually do? Are we actually consciously thinking of how many good deeds did I do today? There are also many marvels in the creation of the body, internally and externally. In each organ, there are marvelous qualities. In each one, there are strange things as well. In the human body, there are several thousand sinews, veins, and bones. Each one, but this is a difficult shape, a different shape and attribute, each one for a special purpose in Allah's magnificent design and wisdom. We are asked the question, are you unaware of this? You know this much, that the hand is for grasping, foot is for walking, and the tongue is for speaking. But you do not know that your eye is composed of two different layers. If there is one less than 10, sight is impaired. Nor do you know that each layer is what it's for and for what purpose we need it. A small size of the eye is obvious, but its scientific exposition has failed many large volumes. These magnificent designs of Allah are not fully explainable by mankind. Of course, if you do not know this, it is not strange that you will not know what the internal organs, such as the liver, discipline, the cold bladder, the kidney, etc., are for. And there are whole sciences that medicine operated on before about knowing about these things. And so, inshallah, today we will stop here and we will come back and we will, inshallah, in a future lecture, go deeper into this with the help of Allah Azza wa Jalla.